Please, by Sergi Pàmies. They got here early in the morning. 2 girls and 3 boys, crammed into a rented Hyundai driven by my son. They've unloaded the materials and, as we agreed by phone, have overtaken what we call the yard by common accord, and what is actually a plot of weeds employed as a depot for moribund objects. My son looked rather taciturn, but this isn't a new impression. It has to do with the idealized memory I conserve of when he was little and laughed all the time. They've left donuts and coffee on the dining room table, in case they want breakfast. And I've taken shelter in my study, too far away to be a bother, and close enough to have a good view of them filming. My son hasn't introduced his friends, who've limited themselves to greeting me from the distance and striking poses like bleak cineasts they dream of being. Now and then, one comes over to ask for something without saying please. A lighter, an axe, Monopoly money, rope, a bit of gauze. I try to assist without making uncomfortable comments. In one of these trips back and forth, I notice the sockets in the kitchen and dining room are all occupied, probably charging cell phones or camera batteries. Since I've lived in this house, I've refined my ability to pretend I'm working to a maximum degree of unproductivity. I spend hours, days, and nights stranded on the internet, catching waves that carry me away from the translation, an article on pediatric pulmonology that I should have finished 3 weeks ago. The publisher hasn't asked for it, but the guiltier I feel for blowing my deadline, the less willing I am to work. With the windows open, I try to catch bits of dialogue of the characters in the short film. I must be losing my hearing, because all I can make out are the most obvious orders, action and cut, both uttered by my son. The rest of the words are an inaccessible whisper, spoken with deliberate vagueness, interrupted by a laughter more smug than joyous. Once in a while I get up, go over to the window, and look at them undisguised. I try to situate the actor's movements within the 2-scene script my son emailed to me after asking over the phone whether he could use my house to film. Before hanging up, I remember, he said to me, "Oh, by the way, you'll be in it. You'll have to play dead." Just like that, without adding please. After listening to my son's instructions, I tried not to displease him. Seeing him directing and giving orders and advice makes us both feel uncomfortable. It must be for this reason that he saved my appearance for the end, after a productive morning without setbacks. In extraordinary situations, it unnerves all of us to have to reveal ourselves as we are in front of those close to us. Aware of this discrepancy, I have adopted a professional attitude, that of the duteous extra. When the director asks me to lie down on the ground, explaining that the short's protagonist, a young man with a beard like an apostle, will grab me by the feet and drag me through the yard, my only question is how should I hold my arms? The response is unconvincing, but still, I don't argue. Hold them like you're dead. When I lie down on the ground, on my back, I feel a stabbing sensation around my right shoulder. When my son was little and used to get sick, I would calm him down by asking if the aches or pains he felt were familiar or new. It was almost always a known pain, and calling it such made him understand that it wasn't so serious, and to be more obedient when he was advised to drink water or take medicine or a spoonful of broth or an apple compote. The jabbing feeling I note just now is like none I've ever experienced. Since I don't recognize it, I analyze it. It radiates with retractile motions, some to the left, some toward the surface, and some toward intestinal depths I didn't know existed. The cadence is repetitive and grows more intense, like Ravel's Bolero, and it seems that other instruments, esophagus, lungs, trachea, heart, are chiming in with the same melody, but increasingly alarming. I don't connect the pain to death, only with fear, and just when I want to tell the bearded actor dragging me along to let go of my feet and stop, I realize I have no strength left, and that the most precise way to define my state, such precision being a professional vice of those who work with words, is dead. It surprises me that death has the structure of an hourglass. While I slip off toward who knows where, I'm far more conscious than when I was alive. It is as if I were granted the opportunity to take leave of myself, not through a retrospective vision of my life, but through this final moment. The first thing this burst of lucidity conveys is that I will be unable to finish the translation. The second has to do with the chargers. I wonder if they'll blow a fuse. The third, a bit ridiculous given the situation I'm in. The actor, following my son's instructions, has been dragging me around for quite some time. From what I understand, in this scene he has to get rid of the body, but the actor must have realized something isn't right, and has hesitated and finally stopped, coming over, looking at me closely. Past the surface of his face, taken up by his impassive beard, a mix of panic and perplexity suffuses him, then shouting that I seem to be dead. And then I hear the voice of my son, with a determination of uncertain origin. He certainly didn't get it from me, who has shouted at the sinister cameraman, "Whatever you do, don't stop filming."